Jerusalem asked the question in the comments. She wanted to know how to draw a realistic smiling or laughing lips. And that's a very good question. So in this video, we'll be talking about how I draw a realistic smiling lips with graphite and charcoal. Coming up. For most of my drawings, I've already drawn out the outline, so all I just talk about is how to shade. But this time, let's take a different approach and talk about how to draw the outlines for the lips. Because while I will say that shading is the most important aspect, the outline is also important. First, you want to draw an horizontal line across the page. This is where the top of the lip will rest on. So that things are well aligned, also draw a vertical line that goes across the page. This vertical line will help a lot when drawing the teeth. It will help to make you draw the teeth very straight. You don't have to follow this exact measurement. You can make the lips any size you want. But if you want to draw from my measurements, I am making the lips about 16 centimeters wide. So this means that the middle vertical line will be at 8 centimeters. The length of the lips is about 6.5 centimeters. If you are making measurement lines like me, make sure that the lines you are creating are light so that you can erase them easily later on. Now, let's draw the lips. Starting from the left, the lip starts off at around a straight line. Then it goes above the line a little bit, then dips below the line slightly. For the bottom of the top lip, simply make sure that you are drawing a V shape. Not all lips look like this, but from the majority of photos that I looked at, this was the shape that the top lip took. For the bottom lip, I also noticed that the form of the lips was like a U shape. If you are just starting out, I highly suggest that you look at a reference photo when you are drawing this. For the teeth, I noticed that it starts a little bit below half of the entire lips. That is, a little bit below half of that vertical line. If you don't want to draw your teeth too big or too small, I highly suggest that you also draw a guideline to guide you. Right now, I am trying to divide the teeth into 5 spaces on each side of the teeth. This will now make it 10 rows of teeth in all. These spaces are not equal at all. I noticed that the 2 front teeth, the science gurus will call these the incisors. These 2 front teeth, they are larger than the other teeth. To help you draw the teeth, think of the top gum as like a Y shape. It will help a lot if you think of the gums as a Y shape. After that, draw the bottom teeth. And that wraps up the boring part, the outlines. Now let's get to the more juicy stuff, the shading. Oh boy, this is the real deal. Let's start with the top lip and lay a base shade with the HB pencil. As you can see, I'm leaving out a section for the highlights. I'm also doing the same with the bottom lip, leaving out the section for the highlights and not shading over it. When I looked at different photos of lips, something I noticed was this little line that goes along the bottom of the lip. You don't have to draw this, you can skip this, but I am adding it into this drawing so that the lips looks more real. You see, the little details matter when drawing. Now let's blend that first layer with our brush. So the highlights on the top lips is not that visible, so I'm blending over them. But I am leaving the highlights of the bottom lips since I want the highlights to shine very well. Any brush will do for this drawing, but I'll be using a round brush and an angle brush. And of course, that shading was not enough. So let's add another layer with our 4B pencil. Make sure that you are shading also in circular motions. This will help to make things smooth. And after that, we'll blend again with our brush. I am darkening the lips lastly with my 6B pencil, following the same guidelines. But now take note of this. To blend, I am not just going to blend with my brush alone. I am going to dip my brush into charcoal powder, then dust off the excess charcoal powder. Now blend the strokes. I don't want to talk much about shading because I have another tutorial on drawing lips. I'll leave a link above so you can click that and watch that tutorial. But for now, let's deal with the teeth, which is the main question that Jerusalem was asking. And yes, if you have any drawing questions like Jerusalem, you can leave it in the comments below and I can make a video about it. Now for the teeth, I'm first going to fill up the gums by shading with my HB pencil, making sure that I leave a small section for the highlights in the gums. After that, I'll blend with my brush. Then I also darken with another round of my 4B pencil. I'm going to say this again. Look at a reference photo when drawing, especially if you are starting out. It will really help a lot. Before we move on, let's use our charcoal pencil to darken the sides of the lips because I just can't get over this. It's been biting me since. We all want to have white teeth, and as a result, most beginners don't shade the teeth. I mean, duh, how will you get white teeth if you shade over it with your pencil? But that reasoning is wrong. You have to shade the teeth, even a little bit. So, I am starting with my HB pencil to fill in the teeth. I'm also making sure that I leave a section for the highlights around the center of the teeth. To make things smooth, I fold a piece of tissue paper, then I blend with that. The teeth is still not dark enough, so I continue to go in still with my HB pencil, then I blend with the tissue paper. I noticed that the tissue makes things a lot smoother than the brush. Just a little side note. Another thing I noticed was that the sides of the teeth are darker than the teeth at the front. So I'm going to darken the teeth at the sides with my charcoal powder. And I believe that's enough darkening for now. Let's move on to the last and most satisfying step of the process. The highlights of the teeth. Oh man, I love this. Cut out your eraser and make little marks around the top of the teeth. Use a blade or a knife to cut out your eraser so that you have a sharp point. Then make little marks around the top of the teeth. These highlights can come in different shapes and sizes, but I suggest that you look at your reference photo to get the best results. Looking good, huh? I know. Let's fill up the bottom teeth and then we can wrap things up. So the main thing you want to remember here is to not leave the teeth white. Also, draw the gums in a Y shape so that you get the shape of the teeth correctly. Build up tones gradually and not go dark at once. And most importantly, what I said like 15 times during this video, look at a reference photo when drawing. But there are more things to learn about drawing the face than learning how to draw smiling lips. And this playlist on the screen covers that. Click on that and you will learn all you need to know about drawing a realistic face. Watch that and I'll see you in the next one.